Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Faith Lynch, your national president. I think you guys hear me say that constantly on my reels. But today we are here to discuss A&A's board resident. So I have brought Jay Biton and Zoila Nolasco, our two board residents. So Zoila was our board resident last year. Jay is our current board resident. And I feel like in conversation at the national symposiums and when Jay and Zoila are walking around promoting this awesome role, people are saying, what is that? Didn't know that it existed, and what does it entail? So we figured we'd just have some coffee and conversation today and kind of, discuss what this role is. So I'm going to ask you guys a little bit of, some questions, but I'm going to ask you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got into nephrology. So I will start with Zoila.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Zoila Nolasco, and I've been in nephrology nursing for just under 2.5 years. So just under the fact that I can't really say I'm new anymore, so I need to know and be able to speak to the role. I've been a nurse for about 20 plus years. I've been in nursing leadership shortly after. I started, my background is in emergency medicine. I started in the emergency room as a nursing assistant, worked my way up through leadership, which I really have a big passion about. And after being a nurse manager on a telemetry short stay unit floor, I ran into some leaders from nephrology. One of those leaders was Faith. So we do work together, but inspired me really to reach over now and cross off site to chronic outpatient dialysis, which I have really learned to grow. Also being new to the specialty as an RN, really coordinating and collaborating with more LPN, just the multidisciplinary aspect of the outpatient chronic dialysis center, which has really been a huge opportunity to learn about kidney care, the community, the people that they serve. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm glad that I didn't know about it earlier and even in nursing school that it was a thing. So I'm really glad to have joined.
Thank you. Jay.
Hi, everyone. Good morning from Pacific Northwest. My name is Jay Kenneth Biton. I'm your current board resident. So my story, I want to say I'm a proud internationally educated nurse. So I want to shout out to everyone, IANs out there, who is actually a part of our vast healthcare system, not just in nephrology, but in all hospital systems. So I want to shout out to all of you guys representing you here. So my story, I was born and raised in the Philippines. I moved to Canada. And during the peak of the pandemic, I went down here in the United States. So my initial specialty is intensive care unit. But as I told the board during my interview, one of the reasons why I get myself into dialysis is that during my clinicals, the locker room is right in front of the dialysis unit. And I have been curious on what do they do? Because as a student, I have never been exposed to dialysis. But then I went into intensive care because I just liked the intensivity of it. And then during the peak of the pandemic in Canada, I was like, maybe it's time. So that's when I switched into dialysis. And here I am.
I love it. We all have a story, Jay. We all have a story, and I absolutely love it. And I forgot, since you are on the other side of the country, it's still morning for you guys. Yeah, see, we're on the Eastern, so it's 1 o'clock here. It's lunchtime. So sorry because I was like, good afternoon, good morning. I just keep messing that up. What can I say? But anyway, just so that everybody has a little bit of context, we've had 5 board residents so far. Applications are now open. You can see the link is posted in the chat, and it closes on January 19th. You must have a BSN or higher, no more than 5 years of experience in nephrology, and you have to be an A&A member in good standing. So we really, really would like so many people to apply for this because it's really a good opportunity. So I'm going to ask some basic questions, but again, this is just coffee and conversation and giving everybody a little bit of an idea. So we kind of spoke about how you both got into nephrology in your intros. So what motivated you to apply for the board resident position? We could start with Jay this time.
Okay. So my progression with nephrology nursing is that I started as a dialysis nurse, but I then progressed into leadership roles. Initially, with my career goal, I never intended to become a manager. My thought is becoming a clinical educator because I just want to be a support person. However, when my workplace before, they acquired a huge contract, like a 6 hospital contract, and I was a part of the team that pioneered it. And then that's when I realized that there's actually a leader within me that I have been dismissing for the whole time. So when an opportunity came to become a nurse manager, I grabbed that opportunity. I can say I proudly worked in the first outpatient dialysis in the whole world, which is Northwest Kidney Centers. And it has been a terrific experience to be working with them, with their hospital services team. What made me motivated to join with ANNA Board of Resident is that I want to inspire my staff. What I realize is that most of the nephrology nurses, sometimes they're not really active with professional organizations. And for me, being active with professional organizations is very important because this is where you will find what is the latest updates. Maybe what you know 20 years ago is something that we don't do anymore. Maybe we're no longer reprocessing dialyzers, like things like that. And what are the new things? Like Blood Summit, hemodiafiltration. So it exists in other parts of the world, but it was just newly approved in the States. So things like that. And I like it.
Yeah, it's really neat that you work at the first dialysis center. Like that's like history. It's very cool. I do want to visit there one day. It's on my bucket
Yes.
list.
Their museum.
I
Very
have a
good.
connection now,
Zoila,
so
you
I'll
should go
I'll
too.
just text you next time I'm in the area across the country. All right, Zoila, your turn. So what motivated you other than me to apply for this position? Just kidding.
I wasn't forced.
No, I'm just
So being new to nephrology, and then I got a role in the outpatient dialysis center as a regional director. So how can I best do my job? How can I build trust with my team, right? They're like, this person doesn't know dialysis, right? How are we, and a leader and being a leader, how can we lead in every single specialty? How do we learn from others? And I will say at first I was like board of directors, and even in speaking to people to learn more about the role, it could be a little intimidating, right? So when I saw that there was a board of director resident program, I had to take the opportunity. I had to apply. At first I was like, do I have enough experience to be in this space? And what I've learned is that every voice has such a strong value at this table, and I really had to just jump to the opportunity. So I hope that others do too. But really the main reason was to learn, and the drive that I had to learn everything, absorb everything about nephrology nursing being new.
I think the best part is kind of what you just said, right? This is a position that you don't need. We're always going for, oh, we have so much experience. You have to qualify for this. This is a position that you don't have a lot of experience. Like we don't want you to have 25 years of nephrology nursing experience. We want to take you in, without that experience so that we can expose you to, what is nephrology nursing? What can it be? What is it from an association standpoint, right? Like, what are we doing? And I think it really matters. Like experience matters, but like all different levels of experience, not just people with a ton of it. You want everyone's different viewpoint because it matters and it evens things out. It evens out the playing field. But thank you both for that. All right, let's see. What else can we tell everybody that is listening? All right, what about serving on the board, so you get to hang out with all of us? How has just the 1 year, because it's a 1 year term, I forgot to say that, how has it influenced your professional growth as a nephrology nurse? We'll start with Zoila this time.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, being new to nephrology, it definitely has connected me with leadership, right, at every level. So when I was on the board, there was someone that was even just part of staff in the front line, whether it was in chronic or acute areas, leaders or previous leaders within ANNA. What I really learned was, besides networking was a huge strength, right? So being new to nephrology, I didn't know where my resources were, and what better than finding out what happens at behind the scenes decision making, how they advocate, what these leaders are doing for the organization, putting their members first, but really truly seeing how they make the decisions, how they argue through the process respectfully, right? How they disagree, how they vote, really finding out what happens behind the scenes to fully support their members and how engaged they are, how inspiring they are to lead and have these conversations and bring ideas that maybe are challenging the status quo, but trying to break the ceiling on different things so that it innovates new membership as well.
That's great, because that was like another question that I was going to ask you both. Jay, I'll give you your opportunity in 1 second, but like what have you seen like from the organization? And you answered that as well in that same description. So, all right, Jay, your turn.
Yes, I want to echo Zoila with regards to, the meetings. For me, I learned a lot from the meetings, professionally communicating your differences on the meetings. I want to say I give it to the board. That's where I actually learn from it, because you're sitting and there's like different people. They have different opinions on certain things, and just putting it out there and professionally agreeing and disagreeing on certain things, that's fascinating for me. And the process on how that would lead to a vote, and you have to stand on whether or not you're the lone person that's saying no for a certain things. I liked it. I loved it. It's so wonderful. That's a huge learning thing for me. But I want to say that my biggest goal when I joined ANA Board of Resident is really that strong network, that strong resources. Because during summits or conventions, I can hear people reaching out and saying like, hey, we're starting this dialysis team in our hospital, or hey, this is what we're doing. And then I'm happy hearing it. And I'm an ambivert person, like I'm social and not social at the same time. But when I hear that, I would say like, I might know the person that I can connect you with. And that for me is very satisfying, because I'll be like, I'll connect you with Faith. And Faith has she can say yes or no. I just gonna connect her. Or I'm gonna connect you to Nancy. Or even with Zoila. And it's a mentoring thing. There are specific things that other people see that are peculiar or unique to the situation, and having that other person maybe from across the United States who will have that similar thing and how they approach it and they share these things, I think it is very valuable. But my most favorite is advocacy. So I want to tell to everyone who's interested to join the board, you don't have to be a manager like me or Zoila being a director. You can just be a person who wants to advocate for kidney care, or who wants to advocate for the nurses, the dialysis nurses, which is I'm very passionate about. I'll end it with that.
And as I take a sip of coffee, you couldn't have just had one more sentence while I was swallowing that. No, it's all good. No, I think that's true. And I can tell you, like, just the networking piece alone. So we were having some pediatric questions here. So I reached out to a whole bunch of members literally 2 nights ago, and so many people responded. And if you're watching, I will get back to you via email. It's just been a little crazy at work. But you have all of these people and opportunities to share your knowledge. We're all not perfect, right? We're all learning on a daily basis. So I think that's a good point. So what kind of, and we'll just open it up. Zoila, you can unmute. We could just go back and forth. Tell everybody what kind of projects, initiatives that you've been working on, like, because there is so much going on in the background. And you guys were, Zoila was an integral part of it. Jay, you are a part of it right now. Like, tell us, like, what kind of stuff you guys are working on. Because I don't think people realize how involved you are in this role.
So as a board resident, sorry, Jay, I went first because I was so excited about the role. As a board resident, some of the things that we saw was discussions on strategic planning. One of those meetings was probably my favorite. And some of the meetings that Jay and I participated in weren't exactly the same, right? So it's always like evolving. But that was one of my favorites. We did a lot of policy reviews and just getting to know the process where, the only way that I was familiar with policies were not necessarily creating them from scratch, but from my job, from following the policy as a staff nurse, from growing in my leadership role and developing policies, but getting to see the behind the scenes on how a policy is developed, the reasons why, the disagreements and debates behind that, and I was the resident during Nancy's term as president, her leading with light, and just really seeing like that eloquence delivered through all and how that shadows down to all the leaders on the board through that voting process was also very impactful. I also think about when we're trying to engage new members, their discussions on that, like, is it coming from the schools, right? Their outreach to what they're doing in the community, some of the volunteering that they did, bringing all their stories from different part of the country, different like suburbs, the city, everyone had a different perspective. And that was really a highlight for me because you don't always get to interact at the same table when you're not from the same time zone, the same rural area, right? You have resources to transportation that someone else may not have. They might not have, you know, the heliport to transfer, or they have to get transferred. They're in acute, they're in the hospital, they're in a big organization, they're in a small one. So there is so much to just learn from even that space. That was really just, I will appreciate it forever.
So you were also on a subcommittee. Which subcommittee were you on at one point?
So I was on the previous DEI, now Nursing, Communication, Culture, and Connection, and also on the Leadership Development Committee that I currently sit on with ANNA. Oh, but you're talking about during my residence.
Yeah, were you on infrastructure?
Thank you, infrastructure.
Okay. Tell them a little bit about that, because that was a big, like, that was like you guys did so much stuff.
Yeah, so in infrastructure, and the time commitment is not as much as you may think, so that shouldn't deter whether or not you want to apply. I interacted with some of the board members also. We talked about anything from the financials, and some of the board members may be more passionate, right, about the about the dollar. So you get into those financial discussions, not necessarily the conference planning, but like even the food, which is also very important to members. And when you go to the conference meetings, right, whether it's the National Symposium, the Fall Summit, what's happening there, and you get to see what you planned before coming to life, like were there coffee stations outside? I mean, it seems small, the vendors, which kind of vendors are they getting? So that was part of those developmental conversations that we did take a part of. So yeah, that's a little bit of it, what the prizes were going to be, how they're going to display the posters, how that vendor area should be placed, and what you know, maybe where the food should go versus the posters, you know, with the strategic planning behind it of how the members will walk around when they attend this meeting. So those were all background conversations that sometimes you don't realize as a member attending a conference, but so great to be a part of. And then coming and attending the conference and seeing how that really comes to life.
And listen, snacks are important. So I always appreciate snacks and coffee. But we use all the member feedback, and those are what goes into those subcommittees. All right, Jay, what are you working on?
With me, I was working closely with Advocacy Strategic Committee, and one of the youth project that was rolled out within that committee, that you can actually feel within the chapter, or not really the entire chapter during this year, but the initiative of health, the health equity, where we did like kidney screening on a local level. And then that was just a pilot study. And then eventually, you know, it's wherever we're heading on how that study, you know, the results of it. But for me, that experience is really huge because you're looking into a national perspective wherein you're part of the discussion. But at the same time, because I'm active in the local chapter, I can see it happening in real time. And I can actually connect the dots on why it is important on a larger scale. So it's simple, but complicated at the same time. On the hindsight, I'm part of Zoila's Leadership Development Committee, which we worked in very hard. And then I'm also part of the National Membership Committee with Christine Larson, where they work a lot with students and mentorship, which I think is very important because some students may not be aware of nephrology nursing or dialysis nursing.
So what I'm hearing is that you guys can do the board resident role and still be on other committees, because the time commitment isn't like, you know, as crazy as you think. But we do have to tell them you have to go, you have to travel, right? Which is fun. You get to travel with us a few times a year. You have to attend the conferences during your term. You have to do like a little essay when you
Yes,
apply,
towards the
answer some
end.
questions,
Yes.
what else?
I'll probably want to say for someone who wants to become board resident, the symposium is going to be your busiest because there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. You'll probably be happy that you're going to, let's say, I went to Portland. You'll probably happy that you're going to Portland and you're attending this whole convention. But I want to tell you that you have to be ready, walking back and forth, because you might not have that luxury of actually sitting on your actual whatever you signed up for sessions, and that's okay because you're gonna learn something that's behind the scenes, like a lot of discussions, a lot of meeting, like other people that are leaders in nephrology, and for me that's a wonderful experience.
Yeah, you're working, right? Like those
Yes.
conferences, we're working, we have meetings, we're moderating, so you're working during those, but you do get to network. So
Yes.
don't think that, it's not it's fun and,
Fun.
yeah. All right. So what else? So what else about the application process? Like what were some of the questions? Because I don't know, because I never applied for that position. Like what do they ask you when you apply? Like what do they want to know? Like why you want to become a board resident, things like that,
So
if you remember.
So from what I remember, I think it's what do you expect to get out of this role, right?
Mhm.
And for me, it was really the knowledge. I was new. I was trying to absorb every piece of information. And I got a lot more than I expected to. So really think about your why, but also to share perspective, right? So as a previous ED nurse in a maybe stable environment where it's pretty consistent, and then maybe that one patient in chronic has an emergency, I've learned that my experience has been extra valuable. It may not happen as much, and that's fine, but now we can coordinate and lead through one of those uncomfortable situations. So that for me, that's a question I remember, your why, of why you really want to join and what you want to share. And if I could just add a little plug again. So just in my role from 24 to 25, some of the places that I had visited and traveled with the board. And I love to travel, and it is a little much during that 1 year, but it's a commitment that you make, and it's quite enjoyable. There's different meeting in different places. Some of my places, just to share, were Pennsylvania, Portland, Atlanta, Denver, Orlando, right? So different areas of the country. So you do get to see a lot. You get some time outside, but there's also time inside to really network, sit at not only a dinner table, but then at the board table, CNO meetings, and round tables. And we also got to visit DaVita, and really learn like the background of the business part. So that was like a field trip with the board. But I did want to share that because it's not just a meeting at a table that is redundant. It's very different. There's a lot of variety. It was quite fun. So that's the fun parts.
Mhm.
Good. And listen, there is a board meeting every single month. Most of them are virtual. We have two in-person board meetings and then two conferences. So some of our board meetings, follow or predate our conference. So we try to limit it, but that's just another time commitment. But you have to, as a board resident, you have to make 80% of those, which is a pretty easy
Mhm.
task. And then what other subcommittees, if we have any during that year, that you can add to. Okay, so what has been the most rewarding part of this? So like you could go first for this because you're past. Jay, you're gonna have to, you're still. This is gonna be the best year because you can't tell me that it hasn't been. Just kidding. All right, Zoila, you go first.
There's a lot of things that come to mind, but if you were to ask me the most rewarding from this, it's really the connection.
Mhm.
Networking is something, you can get a business card here and there from a vendor, you get things that you can take back to your office, but the personal connections that you make with these leaders and you really see that they truly are committed to the work, not just of the board member role, but the work for kidney care for the patients. Like you see the nursing side, you see the leadership side, but you also see maybe even the patient side or even from the patient advocate side. I think it's really the connection to learn more about the community that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's It's been, I think, I don't know, it's a great experience. I wish I could have done that, but it wasn't around when I was doing this. All right, Jay, your turn.
I would say having a voice on a table of leaders. You might think that, because this requires only less than 5 years nephrology nursing experience. When I joined, I'm probably going towards my fourth year of a dialysis experience. And that you can think of it as can be very intimidating, but no, the board is there to listen to you. And you might have perspective that, because the board is composed of everyone, leaders, nurse practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, someone who probably is just working on providing dialysis, educators, like academic educators. So having the seat there, you're actually representing someone else, like less than 5 years, you can say like you're a novice, probably, or intermediate, but then you're a voice. You have to speak up. I think that's the most wonderful experience about it. And and then you're speaking up, not to be criticized or whatever. It's just you're putting it out there. This is what I'm thinking about this. This is my opinion about this. You don't get the chance to vote, but then you get the chance to say what you think based on what's happening in your own community, in your own locale. And what I can remember during the process of interview for me, and what really synced in to me, the question is that question that I was asked: what are you passionate about to advocate for? And for me, it's about the workforce, because for me, the strong workforce, a valued workforce, means a satisfied patient.
No, that's a very good point. And thank you for plugging in, because that was going to be my next thing, that it's a non-voting position. But I want everybody to hear, we lean on that position a lot for feedback, right? Because I feel like sometimes you guys become like the devil's advocate, right? Like you can see like some of us are more passionate about certain things, and then we're like, hey, speak up. What do you think about this situation, right? And we do that often because, you know what I'm saying? Like we're like, okay, what do you think? So your opinion is valued. And I really just want people to know that it's not a position where you're just sitting there quiet and just like taking it all in. Like we want interaction. We want you to speak. Took Jay a little bit to speak. Same thing with Zoila in the beginning. They're both like, no, okay. And now they talk a lot, right? And you guys are able, not in a bad way, but you give your feedback and you utilize your experience to help us make decisions that are going to affect the association in the future.
Yes, agree, 100%.
I appreciate that, because it's funny when I met Jay, and that was the other thing too. So like I had the pleasure of interacting more with Jay this time around because I was more involved then, also given my role, but also attending other conferences. When we talked about like, wow, if I could have turned back time, what would I have done differently in my role as a board resident?
Yes.
And I did mention to Jay, I said, you know what? I really observed, right? When I'm new at something, I'm observing. I'm not the one to really say like, oh, this should be done this way. Even as a leader, like you don't want to do that. You don't want to interrupt, but you want to observe, learn. I'm new to nephrology. I'm definitely not telling anyone what they're doing wrong, or, I'm really just taking it all in. And I was much more quiet in the beginning. But then I realized, oh my goodness, they keep, they're asking me questions. They really do value this role. And you are expected to speak up, to share your perspective, to bring up new innovative ideas, right? To the innovate and elevate theme, right? Like this is really true to who their being is, and what they want to do, and see their vision for the organization as it moves forward. They really want to have someone there with less experience. So also you don't know as much. So you're really trying to take it all in and ask questions and really dive in. If you're on and you apply and you get the role, speak up. They want to hear it.
Yeah, and we're hoping that, these board resident positions, you're new to nephrology now, but we're hoping that, these are going to be the leaders too of our association one day, right? Like this is just like you guys are new to the space within 5 years, and we hope that you love it so much that you stay, and then you get to see, what boards are like. Like I just decided, hey, I'm going to run for the board, a director position a few years ago, because I was like, listen, I want to make some positive change. And, how am I going to do that? And so I ran, but I definitely would have run for, you know, the board resident position if I qualified for that 20 years ago, but for sure. I know I'm making myself feel old, so it's fine. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna just check the chat right now and see if there's any questions. Oh, we have one. All right. How did you get your place of employment to buy into your commitment on the journey of seeking a board position with ANNA?
You know, that's actually a very, very good question.
It is a really good question. It's a really good one.
I wouldn't lie that when I took the position, I was in a nurse manager role, and it was easy transition because leaders would usually be very supportive, unlike another leader who would be representing the organization. But also, I want to highlight that I also did transition. So I actually transitioned from a nurse manager role and now moved into more of a front-facing role as an apheresis nurse. And I was being honest to my future employer. I told them, like, I am a part of ANNA at this capacity, and then just be bluntly crystal clear of what is happening, what you're doing, and communicate it to them. But I believe so too that if you're very passionate about this, and then you communicate it clearly to your boss or to your manager, especially in the world of nephrology, I cannot really see why not that they will not support you. And again, this is a position that only requires not a lot of there's a specific in-person meetings that you have to attend to, like the summit and the symposiums. But other than that, most of it is online. It's happening in the online world, like our monthly BOD meetings that you have to attend to. There's only 3 in-person board resident board meetings that you have to attend to on top of the big 2, which is the symposium and the summit. I hope that helps.
I think any information helps. And I just want to give a little backstory. So you guys are walking around Portland, right? And you were like, hey, I'm the board resident. I'm the incoming. I'm the outgoing. And what did people say to you? They were like, what's that?
Zoila.
Go ahead. Tell the story. So we realized that there was an opportunity to bring more awareness to the table. Not everyone really knew what the expectation was, right? And I think we did hear that, like, the perception of the board is an intimidating position. And I'm not sure why that really exists. We did try to dive a little deeper, of course, time as we're going to different meetings and things. But we'd really like to see more people interested in the role. I mean, I'm open to anyone reaching out, as I'm sure Jay is as well, or even Faith or anyone on the board. We really want to promote this role. Again, it's so valuable to not only your career, but to really see what's out there for kidney care and what the changes are happening for the organization, right? It's a national organization. The impact is across the country. And even internationally, there's some discussions happening that the impact is huge. But it was really an opportunity for us to also explain, listen, it's really not that intimidating. They're real people with real feelings about doing better for the organization, its members, how to get more people in, different generations of perspective, a lot of knowledgeable, experienced, nurses from all different areas, like Jay had mentioned. So I was surprised. I was surprised at the perception, but yes, any board of directors, when you hear of it, it seems like it's only the table at the top. But really, if we take the hierarchy away, it's really an opportunity to be in that space and have that voice.
Yes, and Nancy did clarify in the chat, the board resident attends one national symposium and it begins your year on the board. So you are then, when we are at the beginning, you are announced at the nephrology nursing luncheon, and then the new board comes up, and that's when you're introduced as the new board resident with the incoming president-elect. So I think this was a great conversation. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I really just wanted to bring a little bit more awareness because I really feel like we noticed that there was a knowledge gap for the members, even though we do send out emails about, you know, what the board resident is, but I feel like a video attached to it on the website or that somebody could look at may help answer some questions after they look and say, hey, oh, they had a conversation, they answered my question. So I'm going to let you guys just give any final rah, rah, rah. Why do you want to do this? And then I'll just close it out and let you guys get back to your day.
You want to start?
Sure, Jay. So why you should do this, because it's the best thing ever. Seriously, it's very exciting. It's I would do it again, but you can only, I think, do it once.
Oh,
And then you get more involved, but it's truly such a great opportunity. So be brave, because it ends up being such, you know, like even with Jay and I, we're talking about, we're like, okay, I'll tell you about everybody on the board. This is what they're like, you know, it's really not, it's a good thing, right? So many
this is the
personalities.
truth coming out now. They have a text thread about all of our different personalities.
But it's good, right? Because that's the
that's-
different perspective that you need.
Yeah.
And then you have the full picture, right? So it's great. It's great. Do it. Don't hesitate. And it's really great to be involved. And if you're involved in your local chapter, or if you're not so involved, get involved, because that can put you, or set you apart from another applicant,
Yes.
on how much you're involved, if you're certified, if you're not, right, how much do you want to be an expert, right? I know they say the certification is one of those
Prefer.
demonstrations of you being an expert in your field. But yes, do it.
Yes, do it. Do it because Zoila and I are very committed that whoever is going to be the new board resident will be here to support you. We're going to be here. You can reach out to both me and Zoila. There's a secret board resident council, Faith. So
Just gonna say, I feel like there's
me and
like
Zoila is
something
gonna
going
support
on
you.
here.
Yes, and the process, because Zoila and I are very passionate about this, because when we're just less than 5 years old in nephrology nursing, but we find this very valuable. And again, I emphasize, you don't need to be a nurse manager or a nurse leader to be a part of this. Because my favorite is the advocacy forum, which happens around June in DC, and we talk a lot
June.
about patient care. And if you're passionate about patient care, about representing the patient, the kidney population, you can be this person, because you're gonna bring a different perspective to the board. And again, this is ANNA. It's nephrology nurses. It's not nephrology leaders. It's not that. We need fresh perspective, someone who can sit there and, be that voice, and it's okay. And Zoila and I are here. Go for it.
I think that just made this like I don't need anything else but just that loves like talk that you guys just had and like mentoring and being like, hey, we're here. Because it's nice to know that you guys are staying within the association and you're not just doing it and leaving, right? Because we pulled you in. Now we're like glue. We just stick you in there and that's it. You're never leaving. I did see another question. So does nephrology experience outside the US count to the 5 years criteria? I don't know if that question was ever asked, Princess, but I think I think any experience. I don't think it has to be in the United States. Nephrology nursing experience is nephrology nursing experience, either here or there. But I can clarify that.
I also
But
have another, oh, I'm sorry, I have
no,
another.
go ahead. No,
question that
no,
came
go.
up
This is
Also, would you describe the activities of a resident
Mhm.
board member? I think we talked about that a little bit, but I think to answer that question, would you describe the activities of a resident board member is really to get involved vocally, like speak up. You do have that voice at the table and share ideas.
I want to add, you do attend meetings monthly basis. There's meetings on a specific comments, like say, I think it's every Tuesday for us right now. And then you would go into.
you go to Magnet the following year.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. That's
Okay.
another perk.
That's another perk. And then you go to 3 in-person meetings. This is more of board, a lot of board discussion. And then, of course, you have to go to the symposium and the summit. because you're going to play a role there. Symposium is going to be your busiest because there's a lot of background things that you're doing, meetings, discussions, and stuff like that. And on the sides, you're part of a subcommittee, which is very nice. And my favorite, advocacy forum. You have to go to the advocacy forum on June. It's good, brilliant, very good.
Okay, wait. So somebody's asking you, are travel expenses covered, or are you paying for everything?
Travel expenses are covered.
See,
You
come
just
hang out with us.
pack up your things and just go. That's it. And and just get a permission to be off from your boss. That's it.
Yeah. So usually, I guess the process for that is, your hotel, you get an expense reimbursement form. So you will submit that right when you get home and it'll be covered. But no, you're not paying for hotels. I mean, yes, but you can submit it beforehand if you need to. Everything is covered down to gas mileage to the airport if you need it. And I see that Molly's on. So if you guys have any of those questions, you can reach out to Molly Cahill. And she's our national treasurer currently.
Love Molly.
Yes, we all love Molly. If only Molly could talk right now, like we would hear her being like, guys, I got it. All right. So is there anything else? Any more questions? See, Molly can hear us. So she's like happy to answer anything. Anything else? Any more questions before we wrap up? I feel like there may be some I
would say feel free to reach out.
Yes.
I think my name is in the ANA Connected. I probably have some contact details in there, or if you shoot something, tagging me if there's a way in ANA Connected, feel free. I would love to answer your questions about the board resident. Again, Zoila and I are here.
Yes. And just again, if you look in the beginning of the chat, Celeste did put the application in the chat. It is open now and it closes on January 19th. So we're really, really hoping to get quite a few applicants this year. And if you know somebody, please tell them about it. Just send them the application and say, hey, I think you should really apply for this. I think you should really take this opportunity. And that's it. Well, do you guys have anything else to say? Because if not, I'm going to sign off and let everybody, get back to their day. And thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day, morning, afternoon, and hanging out with us for coffee and conversation. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.